In this lecture, we will cover environment variables. A variable is a temporary storage of data in memory. Stored information is used for customizing the shell environment and by many system and application processes to function properly. The value of an environment variable can be passed from current to subshell during the execution of a script, which means value stored in an environment variable is passed from the parent process to the child process. Some environment variables are defined automatically through the system and use the startup files when you log in. Some of the examples are hostname, hist file, home, log name, pwd, shell. Let's look at one of these examples through the terminal so you can have a better idea of what it's doing. We clear the screen. So if I echo one of these variables, they start with a $sign, and I type in pwd, hit enter, it will run the command pwd. So if I do, for example, hostname, hit enter, it will display the hostname. This is my hostname. Let's use another one. If I do shell, hit enter, it will show you your current shell. And that's how environment variables work. Let me clear the screen. Let's move on to the next examples. Now you can set a variable and then you can unset a variable as well, and you can also view their values. Local and environment variables may be set or unset at the command prompt or through programs, and their values may be viewed and used as necessary. Uppercase letters for naming variables are recommended to avoid any possible conflicts with existing command, program, file, or directory names. Most of the commands are lowercase. Most of the files and directories should be created lowercase in most cases. That's why when you set an environment variable, you want to do it uppercase so there's no conflict. Let's look at some of these examples. So for example, if we want to define a local variable called vr1, we can just type in vr1 equals and whatever we want to name it, rel7 for example, hit enter. Now if I want to echo it, I'll just do echo $vr1, hit enter, and it will display whatever you set it to. In order to export it, what you can do is export vr1. This variable will become an environment variable, so it will be applied to your whole environment if you export it. So if I do that, it will be exported and then it can be used again. Next is to define the variable, also to use a variable with white spaces, also to modify primary prompt for a user. So currently we defined one of the variables as vr1. Let's undefine it. So to undefine it, we do unset vr1, hit enter. So now if I run the command echo $vr1, it's not going to run because there's no variable set to it anymore. We just unset it. Let's move on to the next example. Let's set the variable again, vr1 equals, this is a test, hit enter. The variable is set. Let's echo it. This is a test, and it'll display it on the screen what that variable does. If it's a command, it will run. So in this case, we're creating another variable which is ps1 and is changing our prompt. And run this command. As you can see, your prompt has changed from this to this. And you can look at it to see what I did. We actually created a variable which is ps1, and then we changed the prompt, and it's also running a command which is pwd to show you your print working directory, and now your prompt has changed. This is how you can work with environment variables, and you can set them on and unset them. You can also change your primary prompt for a user as well. I hope you learned something useful in this video as well, and I'll see you in the next one.